How you guys doing? Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. This video is a little bit different from some of the others that I've done. Up until this point, I've done videos on various Grails, CGC unboxing, things that I picked up at the local comic shop. I've shared some anecdotal stories, some of which you've deemed to be dangerous, but I will allow you to judge that. But up until this point, I've done videos just, kind of like routine videos, if you will. And so I wanted to do something different for this video. I wanted to find a way to give back to the community that has embraced me with open arms. And so what I realized is that when I came back into collecting, I realized that there were a lot of terms, acronyms, expressions that were completely foreign to me because I had never heard these things before back when I was collecting books in the 90s. And I had to very quickly kind of get myself up to speed by asking people, what do you mean? Or by Googling terms or watching videos and trying to derive from the context of the post or the discussion of the video what the meaning actually was of this term. So what I've tried to do is, with the help of my buddy Thanatos, aka Matt, I've tried to pull together a list of terms that are widely used in the comic book community that may not be readily understood by someone that's new to collecting or someone that's returning to collecting. So I tried to compile this list. Matt offered me a couple of things to add to it. And then once I had the list, I tried to define some of those terms. And so what I've done is I've recorded a video that essentially highlights 8 of the terms, and we actually identified many more than that, but I wanted to keep the video relatively short. And so it's a video of roughly 8 terms where I define the term and try to show an example from books within my own collection that illustrate what the term actually means or what it looks like. My hope is that someone that is new to collecting, someone that may be returning to collecting, may find this video helpful. I may find that there are some of you out there that know a lot more about this stuff than I do that will actually post up a correction to something that I've stated. I actually welcome that because I don't know everything. And I'm doing this because, one, I saw a need, because I haven't seen anything like this, and maybe there is something out there that exists on YouTube that I haven't found, but I saw a need and I'm trying to offer this up to kind of fill that gap. I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert in these things. I'm simply saying that I wanted to give back to the community that has embraced me since my return. And what we may find is that maybe I need to tweak some of the definitions, which I'm happy to do. Maybe, again, someone that's new to collecting or returning to collecting will find this video helpful. But again, this is my offering to the community. So be kind. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. As always, I appreciate you guys watching these videos. I appreciate the likes, the comments. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I encourage you to do so because as I've kind of already discussed, I try to put out good content. I try to provide something that's entertaining and possibly even a little dangerous. Who the heck knows? But thank you guys for watching. All right. So now we want to take a little bit of time to explore some terminology that is widely used and accepted by the comic book community. The first term that we want to explore is key. A key is defined as a comic book in which something significant occurs. Oftentimes, it's a character's first appearance or the death of a character that make a comic book a key. With that said, it can also include books that contain important story arcs or events. Given this broad definition, key books can be found in most comic book titles. There are some titles, however, like the first series of Amazing Spider-Man, that have a significant number of keys. To illustrate this example, we're going to look at Amazing Spider-Man number 129. And this book is widely accepted as a key because it is the first appearance of Frank Castle, the Punisher. We could very easily put up any number of books from this first series of Amazing Spider-Man to kind of illustrate what a key looks like. Whether it be the first appearance of Sandman or the Lizard or Doc Ock, the list goes on and on in terms of the number of keys that are in this title of Amazing Spider-Man. So the next term that we want to explore is Grail. A Grail is a highly desirable comic book that is oftentimes a key issue. There are universal keys in Grails, like the first appearance of Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy 15, that are widely accepted by the comic book community as being a Grail. With that said, people also have personal Grails that are significant to them for one reason or another. So to illustrate this example, we're going to look at X-Men #1. And this book, again, is widely accepted as a Grail. Now, what's interesting about this book is that when it first appeared back in the 60s, it wasn't necessarily a popular book. But over time, the X-Men gained in popularity, and this book slowly became a Grail and is now widely accepted and recognized as such. So the next term that we want to explore is really a set of terms around title acronyms. Given the long names of some comic book titles, there are some commonly accepted acronyms that have been developed and used for the title of books. So for example, Amazing Spider-Man is oftentimes referred to as ASM. Other terms or other acronyms like GL for Green Lantern or GSX for Giant Size X-Men. These acronyms are widely used, widely accepted. So to illustrate this example, I present to you Giant Size X-Men #1. And this book is not only an illustration of a title acronym, but it is also a Grail and also a key because it is the first appearance of the new X-Men team. So the next term that we want to explore is breaks. There are two types of breaks: non-color breaks and color breaks. Non-color breaking defects include dents, crunches, warps, bends, or ripples that do not affect the ink color used on a cover. A color break, in contrast, would be a defect that allows the natural color of paper to be seen below the ink used to print the cover. So I'm going to show you an example of a non-color break that is also a bend. So a bend is a curvature or bend to an area of the paper or the book that do not break the color. A bend can affect a corner, a page, or the entire book. And oftentimes these bends can be corrected with pressing. So using this Ultimate Wolverine versus Hulk #1, I want to illustrate a break, a non-color break that is also a bend. And so if you look, if I can get the light right, if you look right above my thumb, you may be able to see a bend that does not break the color. And so this corner of the book essentially bends backwards. And it is a bend, again, that does not break the color, but can be corrected with a press. So I want to contrast that book with this book, Marvel Age #28. This book illustrates a break that does break the color. It also illustrates what we call a tick. So a tick is defined as a fold or crease, typically on the cover of a comic. These defects can be created during the handling of a book and are oftentimes horizontal breaks on the spine of a book. Ticks, like any other defect, can affect the value of the book. So this is an example. If you look at the spine, you can see all down the spine horizontal ticks and color breaks where you can see the white paper below the black ink. These are color breaks and also ticks. In this corner here, you can actually see a diagonal color break where this book was probably folded at some point and probably put away in a plastic bag, it created this diagonal color break right there. You can also see some in this upper corner. So what's important to know about this is that these color breaks, whether you're talking about the spine ticks or horizontal color breaks, that cannot be fixed with a press, unlike something like a bend in this corner here, which does not break the color, but again can be a correctable defect. So the next term we want to explore is chipping, which is oftentimes referred to as marvel chipping. This is actually a production defect caused when a dull blade is used to trim a book's edge during the printing process. The result of this dull blade is that the book's edge is jagged in appearance and not clean. Chipping often occurs on the right side of a comic and has some effect or impact on the value of a book. So this isn't the best example, but again, we're looking at X-Men #1. You can see in this red area some chips that have essentially been taken out of the book, and you can see another chip here right where my thumb is, where the cover is kind of broken away and chipped into this away from the book. You can see a little bit maybe up here in the top as well. Those are a little harder to see, but that's an example of marvel chipping. Okay, so the last term that we want to look at, and the last example that we want to examine, is the MVS, or Marvel Value Stamp. Marvel Value Stamps were offered between 1974 and 1976 in various Marvel comic books. There were a total of 200 stamps that were available between Series A and Series B. There were basically 100 stamps per series. These stamps could be clipped from the comics during this time period and actually taped into a stamp book. The value of comic books with clipped value stamps are dramatically impacted, as one would imagine, because the book is essentially incomplete. So I actually do not have a book that doesn't have the Marvel Value Stamp to be able to show you. But what I am showing you is Incredible Hulk number 181. And this is a book that has a relatively high grade, and it's a blue label, which shows that the book is actually complete and has its Marvel Value Stamp intact. If I had this same book in the same grade without the Marvel Value Stamp, that book would be valued significantly less than this book with the blue label with the exact same grade, because the Marvel Value Stamp is intact in this book. And this book was produced in 1974, which kind of falls in the timeline that we were talking about earlier. So again, here is an example of a book that has its Marvel Value Stamp intact and therefore has a significant value over one that does not. So over the course of this video, we've explored various topics, including key, Grail, title acronyms, breaks, ticks, bins, shipping, and Marvel Value Stamp. There are a large number of additional titles and acronyms and terms that we could have explored and may very well explore in future videos. If you found this video helpful, if you found it informative, if you'd like to see more of this, highly encourage you to leave some comments below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, let us know what terms you'd like us to explore. That'll give us the encouragement that we need to produce more of these videos. But hopefully you found this thing helpful. And again, if you did, leave us a comment and make sure to subscribe. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch these videos. Take care.